Hello, Internet, and welcome to Deep Fried Neurons Podcast. It is 3 in the morning. Given the nature of this discussion on the podcast, I just want to know what time frame we're in and what kind of thoughts occur at this point. And let's cue the fucking. This really is a 3 a.m. conversation because, my roommate is asleep beside me. Are you asleep, Vishal?
Almost.
Yeah, I'm disturbing him. Anyway, nobody's asleep. And, of course, it's one of those days where I had planned something else for this episode. And I completely shifted the entire content. Also, I'm desperate. I'm running out of ideas to put on this podcast. But we'll find more, okay? Don't you give up on me. I'm sure that I've found a bunch of kids who have a little bit of an interest in philosophy looking at this video or listening to this audio right now. If you're new at all, I mean. But today I wanted to talk to my audience about Albert Camus, the French Algerian writer, a player, of course. Not just a football player, he had no less than 3 mistresses at any given point. The School of Life video about this guy claims that he was on the cover of Vogue magazine, which is believable. He was a very handsome man, and he was a very hard-hitting writer in a space where most philosophers use eloquent language and big words. He's sort of simple and very approachable literature-wise. I kind of feel like I should give a shout out to my college roommate who sort of introduced me to Camus' literature. I'm pretty sure he's listening to this. He's very supportive that way. Thank you. And fuck you. Whichever. Because I feel like it's a little self-destructive, if not a lot. And yeah. Well, the first book I read ever was The Stranger. And The Stranger was about this guy. Actually, you know what? Let me tell you the opening lines of The Stranger. It's quite iconic. Mother died today, or yesterday. I don't remember. That was sort of how he started the novel. And it was very hard-hitting at the time. And throughout the story, we follow this young man who shoots another man in the middle of the street just to feel how it feels to take a life. And throughout his trial, we are introduced to this person who is completely dissociated with the act he's committed, and he's completely impartial to or indifferent to the nature of his actions, and sort of is rooted in his childhood, which is very traumatic, but at the same time he sees hypocrisy in the world, and he finds it absurd as to what the society gives value to. He believes that institutionalization like religion or education has sort of corrupted the society, and he wants no part of it. And that's what we go throughout the trial, and the entire point is, nothing matters. And there are no actual rules, and morality is, that's a completely different conversation. Fuck. But that's The Stranger in a nutshell. And then there's The Myth of Sisyphus, the more famous one by Albert Camus, where our boy questioned the most important philosophical question: suicide. I know that escalated quickly, didn't it? Compared to the last book, it's probably nothing, but whatever. Basically, throughout this essay, he sort of compares the predicament of human existence to Sisyphus, who was cursed to push a really heavy boulder up a mountain only to see it roll back down and then push it up again. And that's how he thought all of us are. And if that's true, then should we exist the way we do? Is life worth living? And the conclusion to this, he sort of reaches that you sort of have to assume that Sisyphus is happy, and that's the only way to get through life without killing yourself. Remember, the entire point of this podcast is to encourage you to read Camus. I'm just summarizing his books. And he uses a lot more examples. He doesn't make it sound as dumb as I am. Well, yeah, that's all I've read from Camus. But it sort of opened my mind to like a lot of philosophical literature that was out there. And it sort of helped me shape quite a lot of my worldview. I drastically changed my career plans eventually because of the nature of these books. And it showed me what assigned purpose is and how you should take control of it, and how life is not bound by existence, but it's freeing by the same nature of it. I'm pretty sure everybody's understood that like I have a little bit of a pet peeve for philosophy. Do you call it a pet peeve? I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care. You get what I mean. I've covered Neitzche on the podcast before. One of my favorite books, stories he's ever written, called "God is Dead and We Have Killed Him." So that's Albert Camus. I'm going to leave the School of Life video in the link. I hope you find it interesting. It gives you insight or something like that. And well, be responsible with this kind of literature. Please talk to somebody who's older and read the book, or just it's a little harder to swallow than most books. Any of your friends who might have read it can testify. But it's literature that's important to your growth nonetheless. It sort of makes you question if you're narcissistic or not, but that's another question. That's a question for another day. I'm sorry. And well, read it at a cafe. That's always recommended. And I know how I feel about Camus. I mean, I do know how I feel about Camus. I love that man. But his literature is like challenging. It's upfront. It sort of challenges you to like keep on reading, and that's what I like about it. And I know that he's telling you to assign purpose to your life, but in complete knowledge that it doesn't mean anything. Which is, well, I want to frame it nicely, but it's a sexy idea. How about you, Vishal? Would you be into a woman who's like, life doesn't matter?
Yeah, of course.
See? He just proved my point. I'm pretty sure he's sleepy and trying to avoid me.
No, I would really would.
Okay. See? He's proved my point completely. I like how Vishal has become a feature on this podcast without his without him wanting to be. And that's great. But yeah, I think that's it. We should wrap it up before I go more in circles and talk about Camus and how I love him. Bye. Oh, quick reminder, please support us on Patreon. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. Like this video, share it shamelessly, please. I need more traction on this thing. I've been trying hard. And well, let me know what you think in the comments. Some of you have been regularly commentating, and that just warms my heart that people regularly listen to this shit. Which is fucking great. Message me about it, about what you think about it and things like that. And I'll see you next week with another one. Bye.